Welcome to another edition of the Membership World podcast, and I'm delighted to be welcoming Annette Heninger, who is the Director of Corporate Communications from the BOA, which is the British Orthopaedic Association. Welcome to the Membership World podcast, Annette.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and where are you from? Where are we holding the podcast? In London at the moment, I believe. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we're based right in central London near Holborn Station for anyone who's local to the area.
I know it well. No, I used to work in Russell Square, actually, which is
Oh, right.
just up the road from you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So before we get into talking a little bit about membership engagement and what you do, tell us a little bit about your own background, if you will, before you joined the BOA, because I understand you've been there for around 5 years. And what did you do before that?
Yeah, sure. So I've actually worked in the membership sector for quite a number of years. So with different organizations, so accountants and actuaries being two of them. So yeah, like you said, I've come to work for this organization, the BOA, about 5 years ago. And yeah, I don't know, gone to strength to strength. I think it's a slightly different type of organization than the other ones that I've worked for, but it's good.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more then about the makeup of the BOA, and the types of members that you've got.
Yeah. So the organization is made up of orthopedic surgeons, and those really all the way from medical students all the way up to consultant and retired people, so all the way through their training journey. So we've got about 5,000 members. The organization itself came about following the First World War. Some of the people who were working on the front line there, fixing people up as a result of their injuries, were really that once they came back into the UK, they set up the association at that point. So got a long history.
Oh wow, yes, I can imagine what an amazing job they would have done that then. Now, do they, within your sector, do people have to be to belong to your organization as a matter of their work, or not?
Yeah, they don't. The association is a little different than some of the ones I've worked for in the past, like I was mentioning the accountants. Whereas, with those you have to be a member to get your qualifications. You have to stay a member to keep your credentials. With the BOA, it's very different. So the people who join just join because they want to be a part of the orthopedic community or to give something back. But you don't have to be a BOA member in order to practice as an orthopedic surgeon. So it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
In that
And what
way.
sort of benefits do you offer?
Some of the benefits that we offer are really multiple. We advocate on behalf of orthopedic surgeons and their patients. So we're trying to be the voice of the profession, which obviously with all of the backlogs for in the waiting list in the NHS at the moment, we're really trying hard to be that voice on behalf of patients into the government to propose solutions to some of the problems and start really look at what different things can be done to start tackling some of the backlogs. So that's one area. We also do provide some education for our trainees. And we have every year we hold an annual congress, which is actually a chance for all of our members to get together, and they're sharing, their learnings throughout the year. It's the biggest resource for them all to kind of get together and learn from each other, really. And so it's not even just really beneficial for consultant level, but it's also obviously beneficial for those all the way through their training path.
And does your organization run research at all for the sector?
Yeah, sorry, I should have mentioned that as well. So yeah, we do. We have a whole separate sector on research. We do sponsored fellowships and things like that. So we're sponsoring surgeons going out and learning, in other areas of the world and in different situations. So yeah, we also sponsor that as well.
Yeah. Now, obviously, lots of membership organizations, they want to recruit often young or early into the profession and keep them for as long as possible. How do you do that? How do you keep, do you know the average life of a member at all? I don't know if you do.
I know, I don't know that. I mean, I do know we do have a particular focus. So we do focus on medical students and the trainees because it is exactly that exact same desire on our side is that, you want to get them when they're early and keen and keep that brand loyalty and that kind of a thing. We do have a really high dropout rate with our medical students and foundation year doctors, but I think that's just because at that point they might be considering orthopedic surgery, but they might actually end up going into something entirely different. We also do have a huge dropout rate just because the path to become a surgeon is really quite intensive in terms of the training hours that you put in. And I
Sure.
think people do find as they go along that perhaps, they want to take a different route. Perhaps they want to move into academics or they want to move into research or something like that. So there is quite a large dropout rate early on.
Yeah, it's not uncommon though. I know other associations and institutes that I've been involved with that with students, that does definitely happen. So it's you sometimes you can look at yourself and say, what are we not doing? You know,
Mhm.
but it is a factor for sure. And do you have any sort of special interest groups for members to be part of different communities per se?
Not really. I think what we have, I don't actually know. I mean, in my experience, is probably different from the other associations I've worked for. Um, Orthopedics as a whole obviously covers, the entirety of the human body.
Of
And what
course.
surgeons often do is they'll actually focus on a particular area. So maybe they focus on knees or hips or hands. So over time, we've ended up with subspecialty associations. So we're affiliated with them, but they are their own association. So it's just the surgeons who do hands, just the surgeons who do knees.
Oh
So
my goodness. So what you're saying, there's just a knee association. That's just there is an association for everything, isn't there? I mean, it just proves, yeah, yeah. And do you affiliate with any membership organization around the world at all? You said that you have sister ones because although you represent the British ones, do you partner with any overseas?
yeah, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm really having a coughing attack. I don't know
Okay,
if you can
let's
stop
stop
for a
then. Yeah, yeah,
second.
no problem.
Sorry about that.
Do you want to get some water?
Yeah, I have some here.
Oh,
It's
you have some.
yeah. It's one of those things, isn't it? It's like once you get a tickle in your throat.
It's either that or laughing. There's nothing worse
Yeah.
when somebody says something funny or humorous, and you then just can't get it out of your head because it's
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I think I'm better for it.
that's good. That's
Sorry to disrupt the flow of the conversation. I forgot what you were asking me just now.
no, that's all right. No, it
Mm.
was just I was just saying there's an association for everything, isn't there?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
So let's drill down a bit more about how you onboard those individuals. And you said medical students. So what process do you go through?
What we do at the moment is we a lot of the medical students themselves are actually quite enthusiastic. And so in the universities where they're based, they're setting up their own surgical societies. And oftentimes they're looking for sponsorship for some of the events that they have, and they might pull in an industry sponsor to come in and show them how, some of the equipment works. But sometimes they'll contact us and we'll sponsor the event. So what we'll do is we'll send them free collateral because obviously that's one of the best advertising, isn't it? You've got these medical students walking around with branded BOA merchandise. So
Of
I
course.
think that always helps. And then the membership itself is actually quite cheap. I think at the moment it's about 15 or 17 pounds for the year. And I think for them, it's really good value because I think it is actually probably cost us a little bit, so we're probably losing a little bit of money on that. But I
Just a
think,
bit, I would have thought.
yeah,
My goodness.
yeah, but I think getting them in and keeping them enthusiastic about their profession, because the other thing that we are also trying to do is convince people that orthopedics is actually the surgical direction to go into. And so obviously we know they're all medical students. This is but they're not quite sure which type of surgery they want to go into. So we feel like that's also a really good reason why we would want to be in communication with them at this stage. So once we get them in as members, then they're engaging with us. They're on our social media channels. Like I said, we've got some of the branded collateral. We also run like an annual competition with medical students. It's an essay prize, and then the winner, I think there's like £250 prize money. But then they also get like a write-up in our quarterly journal, just like a short quarter page, but and then their essay goes on our website. So I think for them, that's obviously really valuable. So that's
Great
also another
kudos,
way
isn't it? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And so how are you communicating with them? Is it via email, post, or what do you and how do you continually engage with them on a more regular basis?
Yeah, so our communications just is really in the digital world. So it's email and social media. We've got this app that's like a year-round app that we use, which so we're using all the digital methods, but yeah, we don't tend to do much paper-based.
Yeah, yeah. And the app that brings it all together in one place in a way. Is that what you're saying? Because you can send notifications through that and keep people. And how many people? You've got 5,000 members or so. How many people are on the app?
Well, we actually have, I think we've got, I should have better stats in front of me, but I think we've got about 3,000 people on the app. And
That's
I
good.
think, yeah, in terms of, industry standard, I think what we've been told is that it's actually a really, really good rate
Yeah,
of
it
take
is.
up. But I think the reason why is because of the way that we did it. So in years past, we had an app just for our annual congress.
Hmm.
And what we decided to do is when we moved to the year-round app, we actually launched it in the run-up to our Congress. So and then what we did at the same time is we did not have a printed program book. So if you wanted to access the schedule, you had to download the app. So we marketed it really heavily. We got really huge take up, and the number of downloads is higher than the number of people we actually have going to our annual Congress. So it's everyone who's gone to Congress, but then there's an additional number of members as well. But then what we've done, after that is now everyone's got the app. Congress has passed, and now they've got the year-round app on their phone. So what we do is we try to be quite careful about it. We don't want to bombard people with information, have them turn off their notifications. So we try to be quite careful, but we do send them notifications for, like, if we've got a piece of latest news that comes out. So that might be something where we're responding to waiting times, or something that they need to know for their membership, or it's something like that. So it has to be quite a substantial piece of news that we'll let them know about, or we'll let them know when Congress, when the booking opens. One of the things that we do differently than I think other associations is that our Congress membership fee, the cost to go to Congress is actually part of the membership fee. So if you're a member, you can actually register for free during a certain, what we call the early bird registration period. So what that does is it obviously incentivizes people to book for Congress within that time frame. I think a lot of other associations I know about, you pay as a member, but then you pay separately to go to Congress. So
Correct. Yeah,
yeah, so
correct. Yeah.
we've done that a bit different. But one of the things that we ended up doing from COVID is, as a result of the whole lockdown and trying to redo the way we work, is now when we held the live event, we record all of the sessions, and then you can access the sessions through the app afterwards. So if you can't come to Congress in person, we have a digital ticket that you can purchase, and then you can actually view all the sessions through the app, either on your phone, or there's a desktop version as well, which I think makes the whole process actually quite smooth, because you can bookmark sessions. The desktop version of it, it's quite good, because you can be looking at a session, you can click on the speaker, you can kind of go through and find out lots of details, which I think is making a little bit more of a sophisticated way to view it than what we might be able to show on our website.
Yeah, no, that's interesting, isn't it? And what about, I mean, one of the reasons that people come to live events is to network with their peers, as you identified at the beginning.
Yeah.
How does that work for those people that didn't come? Are they still in a position to sort of network in the app at all?
I think there's that functionality. So yeah, there is. So Yeah, so if you register as a delegate, then I think through the app you would be able to contact other delegates. You could contact speakers, well, not many speakers probably, but exhibitors or things like that. So you can kind of have this virtual experience of the Congress. But I think yeah, it's probably not the same as being there face to face and grabbing a coffee. But
Well,
yeah.
and nor should it be. I think in a way
Yeah.
you don't want to replace that live interaction of human contact, but I think technology has improved so much now, hasn't it? That that's why a lot of associations they want to reduce the amount of information that they provide. I think that's a really important point that you've raised there because. I go onto some association websites, and honestly, it is literally Armageddon in terms of information. It's where on earth do I go now? And that's why I think navigating and helping the members through their experience is really important. As an association, sometimes we can often look at ourselves, can't we, and think, well, let's just put everything onto the web. That would be our one portal, but we're not necessarily always thinking about what that's like for a new person coming into the space that is almost like coming into a library in the first place, and they have to ask somebody to tell them where something is. But yeah, and what about okay? So what about the member journey and keeping them? I mean, presumably what's your renewal rate? Do you know what your average the amount of people that renew?
I don't. Yeah, it's something that I've been tasked to find out. Actually, yeah, we want to know what our attrition rate is. I mean, when I look at it, I think I was saying, so we know there's a drop off with the kind of the medical student foundation year cohorts. But when we start to look at the consultant level, the majority of the people do leave because they're retiring.
Yeah.
I think most people, if they're a member, they tend to stay a member, and I think that's where you get that kind of loyalty coming in for the organization. But one of the interesting things that's come up in one of our recent council meetings is we were looking at our membership trends and saying, okay, what can we do to address some of the attrition rates? And it was suggested that we actually create a special membership category for retired people because they might not necessarily want to leave the organization. So provide them with a discounted rate that might provide them with things particularly for them. So maybe it's setting up ways for them to meet. And I don't know if that would be something that has to be virtual, has to be in
I
person,
love
be
that.
virtual. I thought so too, because then
I
you
think
can
that's
actually keep them as
fantastic.
members.
Right,
Yeah.
just do it. I'm telling you now, as somebody that's lived and breathed the membership sector, definitely do that.
Mm.
I mean, I know a lot of people that are retired. You know, the reason, I mean, my father, for example, is in his mid 80s. When he was offered retirement, it's as though he was sacked. He just
Yeah.
felt this disconnect with his
Yeah. Yeah.
company. His customers were his friends. You know, so anything that you can do to create an environment where maybe there's an annual lunch or something, I think that would be
Yeah.
really, really cool. And I reckon you get very high uptake from that, because these people want to, a lot of the members will be their friends. And
Mm.
why are we just going to cast them aside and say you can't belong anymore? Another thing that if you haven't already thought of, is having what's the word now? I've forgotten the word now. When you leave university and you've
Oh, an alumni.
alumni, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly, because that too
Yeah.
is a very, very good way of keeping people involved in the community, even though they don't necessarily want to practice. So again, maybe there's an annual, the year of,
Yeah.
19, the
Yeah.
1990 year. It might be something for you to explore if you haven't already.
No, that's a nice idea too. I like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, well, look, just sort of wrapping up then, what's the future look like for the BOA? I mean, obviously we're going through some difficult challenges, aren't we, with the National Health Service and the likes. What do you think is going to be on the horizon?
Yeah, I think for us, really it's one of those things. I actually feel a bit bad. It was back in 2018 when we kind of were talking about this old proverb of may you live in interesting times. And at the time we were dealing with high waiting, the waiting lists were quite bad for the NHS. And it's just got worse, and it's like since then, I mean, every year it becomes more interesting. If you like. So I think in terms of the future, we've got so much that we want to do kind of on the policy side and the public affairs side, just like I was saying, to advocate for our patients and really try to sort things out. I think, you know, when we look at the membership numbers, they're quite steady. We, you know, I think we do want to do more to see why that 30% are not members, you know, and really see if there is something that we can do to make them feel that there is something worthwhile about being a member of the BOA.
Mm.
One of the other things that we're doing is we're actually opening up our new president. She's just come on in the last week, I think, or 2 weeks, I think. They've just had a changeover at our Congress, and she wants to open up the voting. So rather than it being just the senior level consultants, she wants to open it up to a much broader range of people. So maybe, you know, I'm not quite sure where we are yet if we go up, you know, into some of the trainee levels, but I think that people feeling that they've got more of the voice and more of a say.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
I
yeah.
support it 101% in doing that. You know, a board should be a true makeup of the membership, and if that includes trainees and younger people, people from diverse sectors, and they really, really should be. And it's not just because of somebody of popularity and somebody's been in the industry for X number of years. I really think these a board can only come alive when you've got a real diverse set of opinions. Otherwise, you know, they're not really going to be the same old, really, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly true. And I think, you know, I don't know for all associations, but a few of the ones I've been in, we feel like we're struggling to say, you know, you don't want it to just be the old guard, you know. So I think that idea of kind of bringing in different younger cohorts would be really quite nice. And like you're saying, kind of give some more life to the association. So
Absolutely. Well, Annette, it's been lovely talking to you today, and thank you for enlightening me on the whole world of orthopedic surgery, which until now I knew very little about. So it's been a pleasure.
yeah, thank you very much.